Hello, everyone. This is Craig Resnick with the ARC Advisory Group, coming to you today from the 2021 ARC Virtual Forum this year. With me today is my special guest, Don Pearson. He's the Chief Strategy Officer of Inductive Automation. How you doing today, Don?
Doing great, Craig. It's good to be with you under slightly different conditions than these last several years, but happy to be here.
That is the understatement. Yeah, it's certainly been quite a year since the last time we saw each other in person at last year's forum in Orlando. So obviously this pandemic has disrupted business in so many ways. And how did Inductive Automation respond to the pandemic, and how did it help its customers respond to the pandemic?
Well, that's something that we were probably maybe more prepared for than I thought we might be in terms of looking at our company. Because when the pandemic actually hit, we'd sort of, and it hit California, it hit a whole world, but I mean, when it hit California, our offices, we'd actually done a little bit ahead of time to order. We ordered like 40 or 50 laptops, I think, before that time. We had our executive meeting and we sat down and said, what are we going to do to keep customer service? And we basically, over a weekend, planned and moved everybody to work remotely. It started working pretty well. I'll tell you, I think the foresight helped us a lot because it started getting harder to get laptops right after that. So when we moved in over the weekend, people working from well. In fact, our head of software engineering, Carl Gould, said his folks are actually more productive working from home in terms of project speed, project completion. They're doing really well with it. So it really accelerated some of the release of Ignition 8.1 in September. And I think if we look at that from the viewpoint now of our customers, it really did help our customers to do more work remotely also. Everybody was forced to accelerate adoption. But 8.1, the perspective module, its modular capabilities, and the mobility that it gave people. We released Ignition Perspective Workstation. Those things also improve people's ability to work a little bit more on a VIA using mobile devices. So, and I think as a general statement, I would say, Craig, this digital revolution got accelerated in terms of digital transformation in the industrial space, maybe by several years, because across multiple industries, people were forced to sort of use digital technologies. And I think that our platform gives a lot of power for mobility and remote control of processes. And that played well in terms of response to this pandemic and a lot of the challenges that occurred for many companies because of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it was certainly a huge disruptive force. It accelerated certainly a lot of digital transformation programs that people had. But speaking of disruption, if there's one company that's certainly been a disruptive force in the market for 10 plus years, has been Inductive Automation. What makes Inductive Automation different as far as always being a company that's kind of known for being kind of on the leading edge of disruptive technologies?
Well, a couple of things. And I know we've had this discussion before over the years, because it seems like every year we would use ARC and your press conference and your great content you guys would have as a progressive organization with your programs to launch and take advantage of that as a springboard into our new year. But if you just kind of summarize our disruptiveness in a couple things, one is we started Ignition as sort of the new SCADA, and then it really evolved into this industrial application platform where people were really trying to get HMI, SCADA, MES, IoT solutions all in one place. So I think certainly when we started with one central platform interoperable on any operating system, that was a big deal. And if you remember back even in the early days, I mean, a lot of competitors were still, sending out CDs to distribute for installing their software. And we were early on doing it entirely through the web. You download Ignition, a couple of minutes. One disruptive thing that we hit the market first was that. And also try before you buy, for God's sakes. Our prices are transparent. They're on the website. Any of these things, it was a big deal to our CEO to say, we are going to be integrator friendly and transparent. And I think those things have all been kind of a little disruptive. We really wanted to put our customers in the driver's seat. And so, and one thing, we certainly said it over the years more than once, but probably the most disruptive thing was Ignition's unlimited licensing model. I mean, when you give people that freedom and you unlimit the tags, the connections, the clients, the concurrent designers all in one platform without those kinds of limitations that were normally there, this is a stark contrast to the way other companies were doing it. And I think it shoved us in a way that other competitors have responded and been more user-friendly to their customers. But those things, if I had to summarize, I'd snap those things together and say they all kind of played a role in our label of being a disruptive company, if you will.
Yeah, there's no question that your unlimited licensing model is when we really started at ARC to see you on the radar screen and certainly begin to see you on the radar screen of a lot of our end user clients as well. Now as we move up to 2021, edge technology certainly remains a very, very hot topic. So from Inductive Automation's perspective, what type of edge devices and solutions is the company offering, and other solutions that really enable what's so critical today, of course, which is edge to cloud communications?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are trying to go from edge to cloud all the time and do as much at the edge as they possibly can. It's become extremely, extremely important to organizations. And I think one of the things that we think is important also is when you look at what I'll mention about edge from our offerings, is it allows you to have one source of truth for your data. The data is produced at the edge, and that is the same data you are using for that one source of truth all the way to the cloud and back again. So Ignition Edge is really just it's a line we released a couple of years ago. It's lightweight, low-cost Ignition software solutions, and they're designed specifically for devices used in the field, for OEM devices, all to be done at the edge of the network. And this year was a good year for our Ignition Onboard program, which it basically allows device manufacturers to have their devices become smarter devices. They use Ignition as pre-licensed, pre-installed. They have their own SKUs that they sell to their customers. So, companies like OnLogic and Moxa and Opto22, Advantech, these folks have really started to take to this because it gives them more that they can offer to their customers when they're selling a device, because it's a lot smarter and it connects into the enterprise. And I know you already know this, but certainly our work with our strategic partner, SearSling Solutions, has had a lot of effect on the ability to get data into the cloud from their injector modules for AWS and Azure and IBM and Google. That's really been strong in terms of our partnership. And, they've also developed this year an AWS SiteWise Bridge, and that helps people take advantage of SiteWise capabilities from AWS and the Ignition platform functionality. So it's all played really strongly into extend data and analysis to the cloud and, give customers a more scalable system and the ability to do analytics, machine learning on those systems.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite an accomplishment in 2020, and I know you've had some other accomplishments at Inductive Automation in 2020 as well. But what are some of the key initiatives that'll further improve your value proposition to your customers in 2021? Hopefully, we'll be past the pandemic towards the end of the year, but what are some of those other initiatives you see in value propositions going forward?
I would say if there's one that is maybe the most exciting to me, and that doesn't mean it's just the most exciting to everybody else in our organization, but it's our university engagement program. We started this a little while ago. It was something that Christine in our Community Alliances Division and myself worked on a few years ago, but we didn't put a lot of bandwidth into it. And that it's an initiative that supports academic institutions to have Ignition available as a way to transfer knowledge to their students. So we work with higher education institutions, and we basically just donate the software and support them in terms of understanding how to use it in the classroom. And boy, are they taken to that. I mean, the program's continuing to grow and expand. We got dozens of universities now across the world that are really, most are still in the United States, but we intend to put a lot of punch behind this program because we think it really does give value to that next generation of industrial engineers. So I think that's really a critical component to where we're going with this program.
Yeah, it's certainly great that you have that knowledge base at the student level, and we certainly know there's a lot of people in the operations personnel within the plants that are very, very familiar with inductive automation.
Yeah,
But,
I want to interject one thing if I can. I really got off on my whole thing on the university program. But since this is an informal interview, I want to throw in one more thing.
sure.
We have really seen an uptake, especially with Ignition 8.1 and as a long-term support version of Ignition, the first one in the 8 platform series. But basically, what we're seeing is the empowerment with 8.1 for enterprise deployment. So we're really putting a lot of punch in the enterprise space. It's continually going to be our initiative to push Ignition as that platform of choice for those company-wide deployments. So I think 8.1 has helped us do that. Our modular approach and unlimited licensing have certainly helped, which I mentioned already. But I think that really is a senior initiative. Let's give them the tools they need to really do digital transformation across the entire enterprise, anywhere in the world. And our commitment to helping people do that in the industrial space is, I think, stronger than ever in 2021.
Well, one of the reasons I would say that working with the enterprise is so critical is we all know the effect of IT/OT convergence. We're even at ARC, we're even beginning to call it IT/OT fusion, because we're almost starting to see the gap between the two groups completely disappear, and certainly at some of the products and solutions level. So what has your company done as far as developing relationships with people who, let's say, come from the IT side that are now part of these converged IT/OT groups, and building relationships with the people that have that IT background?
I think even asking that question from you really, it really points out the fact that IT/OT convergence has become a critical component, because we're trying to build one enterprise. We're not trying to have IT and OT as separate worlds and never the twain shall meet. So I think it's important to emphasize that has to happen. It is happening with organizations. But Ignition, going back to our roots, for God's sake, Steve, our CEO and founder, when he started, he really wanted to get PLC data into standard SQL databases. He started with the goal to connect IT and OT because he could do so much if he could get that data happening bidirectionally. That was the first, what he called the Swiss Army knife for an integrator to really help customers get IT and OT working together. It really is ideal for brownfield implementations, for God's sakes. And Craig, I know when you think about IT and OT convergence, it's at the core of our history. It's the very roots of Inductive. Back to Steve, he really brought people together. Our developers were IT-based background individuals who he brought up to speed in the OT world, in the field, in the world of SCADA. And that was the foundation of inductive automation. So I think we're doing a lot to basically say, use IT and OT together and build one enterprise.
Yeah, it sounds like you may maybe be able to leverage that IT/OT fusion story from ARC as well going forward.
Absolutely.
It's funny because whenever we talk, you always bring up the name of a lot of your partners, and we know how ecosystems are so important to inductive automation, and we all know that how important it is really to compete globally. So, what's your process that you go through regarding your company's, ecosystems and partnership programs? I know it's important for you, but how is even that beginning to evolve, as looking forward?
Well, this actually, Craig, you hit the nail on the head there. We really do consider that ecosystems are a super important part of allowing companies to really succeed in digital transformation. And we do see Ignition as a platform that really, if you will, provides a core technology around which you can build an ecosystem that addresses the needs of industrial organizations that we end up serving across industries. We went to the edge and developed the onboard program. You can put Ignition Edge on devices, and those companies actually have, as I mentioned before, a SKU they can sell, starts right at the edge with that connection. And then our strategic partners, critical. We are not going to be domain experts in so many domains that we're not going to be the expert in. We do what we do, but when you look at the value of MQTT in the industrial space and building MQTT-based message-oriented middleware architectures, Searslink Solutions, they've got the domain expertise. Come on, their president, Arlen Nipper, is a co-inventor of MQTT. Perfect partner for us to bring that functionality to building out architectures that these companies need. MES with Sepasoft. they're the experts in that space. So, and also out in the community, when the data around Sparkplug and MQTT, the intellectual property, was given to the Eclipse Foundation, we came on board, started participating in the Sparkplug working group as a strategic member of that group. And that's just to ensure open, interoperable, standards-based, and secure systems. So, I guess the bottom line is there's no way one company can do it all. We can't do it all. We never would intend to do that. But can we be a partner in this evolution of digital transformation? Can we, if you will, not try to be all things to all people, but facilitate relationships with hardware companies, software companies, strategic partners, onboard partners? All of these folks play a role. And if we're really trying to move this industry forward, and gosh, you guys at ARC have done a phenomenal job over the years. Your programs are always so cutting edge educationally, which is why we love working with you guys. Really, candidly, it's been great for us over the last number of years. But really, we're all basically saying this: you can't build out these architectures. You can't go forward with digital transformation if you don't have the mindset of bringing people together in a collaborative way. The development of our ecosystem, and this all goes on the backs really of our Community Alliances division. We put a whole division of people together that says, build the alliances, be a good partner, make sure that end user industrial organization gets the benefit of all the talent that the industry can come together with in order to help them in their digital transformation challenges. So maybe a long-winded answer. Sorry, I got carried away. I get very excited about ecosystems. It's critical. And that's all I have to say about that, Craig.
Well, let's say it's always great talking to you, Don. Your enthusiasm is obviously awesome, and we've enjoyed the journey of watching inductive automation over the years, and we look forward to the continued journey of watching you continue to grow and develop and be a key part of a lot of ecosystems and solutions going forward with your customers. So, thanks so much, Don, for being here today.
Thank you very much, and we totally appreciate the relationship with ARC also and the great work that you guys do. Thanks.
Thank you. This is Craig Resnick coming to you from the 2021 ARC Advisory Group Virtual Forum. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.